Welcome to this explainer. Look, today we're not just talking about friendship like it's some abstract, feel-good Hallmark card concept. We are diving deep into the literal, life-or-death biological reality of human connection. Honestly, the science we're looking at today completely rewrites what most of us think we know about our own health and survival. 15. I really want you to lock that number in your head right now. Why? Because it represents a literal physiological event happening inside millions of people as we speak. Researchers have actually found that chronic loneliness isn't just a sad emotional state. It literally triggers a stress response in your body that is as deadly as smoking 15 cigarettes a day. I mean, it suppresses your immune function, raises your blood pressure, and absolutely spikes your cortisol. It is a silent killer. And you guys, it's happening all around us. Check this out. An 80-year Harvard study of adult development, literally the longest study of its kind ever done, tracked people from their teens all the way into old age, meticulously looking at their brain scans and blood work. And their conclusion? Friendship is definitely not just an emotional luxury. The quality of your close relationships at age 50 is a more reliable predictor of your health at age 80 than your cholesterol levels. That's right, not your diet, not your cholesterol. Your close connections are the ultimate biological necessity for your physical survival and cognitive health. All right, let's jump into section 1, the biology of connection, and how we actually measure our inner circle. Because our brains, as it turns out, are physically hardwired by evolution to need and manage these connections. So, Oxford researcher Robin Dunbar figured out something wild. Our actual brain size literally limits our emotional investments, a concept now famous as Dunbar's number. Basically, we can manage about 150 acquaintances. That is the absolute upper limit of the human brain. But as we move into deeper territory, those numbers shrink incredibly fast. You have the bandwidth for about 15 close friends. Only 5 sit in your inner circle, and get this, those 5 people take up 40% of your emotional time. And at the very bottom of the funnel, just 1 to 2 soul friends. Those are the people you can call at 2 a.m. in a total crisis. Your brain physically cannot handle more deep connections than that. Now, out of all those interactions over a lifespan, the reality is pretty sobering, to be honest. Research shows that over an entire human lifetime, you're only going to make roughly 29 real friends. But out of those 29, only 6 will truly stay the distance. Just 6. I think that really hits home just how extremely rare those top tiers of friendship actually are. Moving right along to section 2, lessons from the wild, nature's social blueprint. Humanity is definitely not alone in this, so let's look at the totally surprising survival lessons animals can teach us about keeping those precious few friendships alive. Think about elephants for a second. When an elephant passes away, the herd doesn't just, pack up and move on. Scientists have documented this profound grief and loyalty, where herds will search relentlessly for days for a lost companion. They'll even return to the bones of the deceased years later, touching them super gently with their trunks in what researchers actually call acts of remembrance. This completely reframes friendship for us. It shows us that loyalty and mourning are interspecies biological truths. They aren't just some modern human construct. Nature actually offers up a ton of other incredible strategies for connection too. Take ravens and wolves, 2 totally different species forming cross-species alliances. The raven scouts prey from the air, the wolf makes the kill, and then they literally share the meal. The human lesson here, value friends who have completely different skills and backgrounds than you do. Then you've got vampire bats who share food with unrelated bats based on a really strict history of mutual exchange. And honeybees who physically soothe each other. Nature literally mandates reciprocity and diverse alliances for survival. Speaking of those honeybees, they demonstrate this amazing biological phenomenon called co-regulation. When a bee is stressed out from a predator, the nearby bees will vibrate at specific frequencies and touch her antenna to literally decrease her agitation. Their nervous systems physically soothe hers. So let me ask you, when was the last time you provided true, silent presence for someone in distress? Not just giving them unsolicited advice, not sending a quick text, but actually just sitting with them and physically soothing their nervous system. Okay, a super similar concept here is social buffering. Get this, conservationists will actually pair highly anxious, high-strung cheetahs with confident domestic dogs. The cheetah takes its cues from the dog's calm presence, which acts as this incredible emotional anchor, measurably reducing the cheetah's stress hormones. And this directly mirrors human biology. Having a calm, emotionally stable friend in your inner circle actively lowers your cortisol levels during high-pressure situations. Which brings us to section 3. Spotting toxic relationships and the invisible damage. Because what exactly happens when the people around us aren't those calming dogs, but actual sources of stress. Well, the biological impact of relationships is basically a two-way street. With a healthy friend, simply looking at a photograph of them or holding their hand during a medical procedure literally activates pain relief in your brain. On the flip side, chronic exposure to a toxic friend is a slow, invisible form of biological damage. Hostile interactions actually cause measurable increases in inflammatory proteins in your bloodstream. So a bad friend doesn't just hurt your feelings, they physically damage your blood. So how do we spot them? Let's do a rapid-fire check of 5 warning signs of toxicity based on the data. Number 1, you just feel completely emotionally drained and depleted after seeing them. 2, pay close attention. They actually celebrate your failures more than your successes. 3, they weaponize concern, meaning they share your private secrets under the guise of just caring about you. 4, they consistently redirect every conversation back to themselves. And 5, you feel forced to perform or constantly manage their emotions rather than just being your authentic self. Seriously, use this list to mentally check your own circles today. This brings us right back to the vampire bat's strict economy of survival. Think about the massive difference between a reciprocal friendship and a mere service relationship. A true friendship absolutely requires balanced seasons of giving and receiving over time. If you find yourself in a dynamic where one person is a consistent taker, just constantly draining your resources while never giving anything back, you're not in a friendship. You're in an imbalanced, depleting service relationship. Which perfectly leads us into Section 4, guarding your inner circle through social architecture. Because recognizing those toxic dynamics, that's just step 1. Step 2 is actively guarding and curating those life-saving top 5 slots in our inner circle. Let's talk about behavioral contagion. Just like a wolf pack will unconsciously absorb the cooperative or violent traits of their alpha leader, we humans absolutely absorb the values, the ambitions, and even the limitations of our closest peers. If your inner circle normalizes mediocrity, or if they operate through fear, you and eventually even your family will absorb those traits. It's a fact. Your friends literally redefine your ceiling. So here is the absolute crucial point you need to take away. Choose the direction, not just the person. You've really got to step back and evaluate your current circle. Ask yourself, does being around this person help me move toward the person I genuinely want to become? Or are they pulling me backwards? Are they raising your potential, or are they actively holding you down just to make themselves feel comfortable? I want to leave you with one profound question to end this explainer today. Who are your inner 5? Say their names out loud to yourself right now. Think about the biology, the stress hormones, and the behavioral contagion we've covered today. Are those 5 people raising your potential, or are they slowly draining your life force? Remember, your very survival depends on the answer.